Welcome to Own the Season podcast. We will talk to industry insiders along with outdoor enthusiasts to help you own your season. Now let's join hosts Art and Michelle Helen with Brad Jones. Own the Season podcast is sponsored by Griffin Armament, the oldest privately owned silencer manufacturer in the United States. Go to griffinarmament.com to learn how you can get a silencer shipped to your door. Griffin Armament, engineered silence.
Hello and welcome to Own the Season podcast. I'm Michelle Helen, and with me today I have Art Helen and Brad Jones. And our special guest today is Trevor Wendhausen. Trevor's a young man, local guy. I actually went to school with his mom, and he's got a lot of businesses going on. He's a busy guy, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to talk a little bit about his businesses, and I think you also do some hunting.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we're for sure going to talk about hunting. What should we talk about first, guys?
Man, we could talk about anything. I think we could do like a 12-part podcast.
I definitely think we're not all going to fit
Mix
in
it
on
up,
this
right?
one.
Yeah, we can just mix it up. I mean, the guy is very diversified and trying to make a living as a young man, and so hats off to you, bud, because there's
Well, let's just talk. So the main biz, or the first biz, is a family dairy farm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So we milk 350 cows twice a day here in Southwest Wisconsin. That is the main business, right? As you said right away. But yeah, that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
And it's a family farm. So my dad and my uncle are the owners, and then I am the oldest of the fourth generation. So I got three brothers and a cousin also that work there. So there's 7 of us there full time. That's a full-time gig.
That's a full-time gig, and you've got a young family.
Yes, wife and 3 kids. What are they? 5, 3, and 8 months old now.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So how much land do you have there?
The home farm is 560, and then we got another 80 up the road, so 640 total that we own, and then we rent another probably 400 to 500. So we're right around 1,000 total.
Okay. And a lot of people, to put that in perspective for people that aren't farmers, I guess, as 1,000 acres is a lot of land, but when you have 350 cattle,
Takes a lot of food and bedding and things to take care of those animals.
Yeah, so kind of fill us in on that, like what I don't know if it's your daily routines, but, kind of a routine running through your milking and how to keep them healthy.
Yeah, so I would say that, 350 milking cows, but we probably got close to 400 total. And then all the young stock. So a total livestock around the farm, you're probably talking close to 800-900 head altogether, which my main part is the calves. So when I get there, we milk at different times than normal people. 10 and 10 is kind of our schedule. And we did that when I was back in high school because we wanted to make evening activities. Basketball games was our main main activities. So I usually get up about 9:45, get up to the farm around 10, and we do chores from 10 to 2, get lunch 2 to 3, and then afternoon this time of year is usually 3 to 6, 3 to 7, and then go home, get the kids tucked into bed, and then go back out for chores at night, 10 to 2 in the morning. And then I'll work on signs after that or work on videos while I'm working and kind of built both of those businesses in my spare time, I guess. And the farming is 7 days a week. That's not a lot of things that people realize, I guess. Probably putting in close to 85-hour weeks on the farm, maybe more than that during the summer. And then running signs at night with the social media stuff. I've pushing 150,000 followers over 9 months. So I have pushed the heck out of it, kind of like a second job, but also trying to create more opportunities for my family too. So any way to make a living, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, just putting myself out there and the opportunities will come. Actually, I was watching when I first got it started, I was watching some reels. I eat a bowl of cereal in the morning. You could call it morning, I guess, after chores, about 2:00. And Millennial Farmer was making a reel, heard he was at a podcast actually, and he said, if you're willing to put yourself out there, the opportunities will come. And I said, why can't I make farming videos? I'm like, I sit here and watch farming videos all night, like I could make this type of stuff. And I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. You just start doing it. That first video probably took me 10 tries because I was scared. I started with calf updates in the barn. I just started how many calves we had that day, and I started off of that, and it wasn't getting a lot of traction right away. I started with TikTok, and you can see how many followers you gain off of certain stuff, and that wasn't really working, and I kind of stopped doing that after a while and transitioned into more equipment stuff and how does stuff work, and then you watch other videos that do well, and how do you, I guess, finesse your stuff to match that kind of stuff. And it was more the minute type videos that were fast paced, change camera angle every 3 to 5 seconds, and kind of ran from that. But I didn't stop doing the daily vlogs. I just feel like it kept people connected. What's going on around the farm, and not a lot of people understand what the farm life is, what goes on a daily basis, or what it all takes to put food on the table. And milk and cheese in our standpoint, we do some beef as well, but that's a little bit about mine.
Sounds like you've got a full plate.
Probably overflowing.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like you got a great work ethic.
Yeah, and that's something I'm very grateful for. My dad kind of instilled that in me right away. My grandpa Walt, I pretty much grew up around him, and that's something actually kind of hit me today. We just put my grandma Marlene in the nursing home today. So there's no longer grandma's house at the farm. It's been last couple of days, it kind of weared on us a little bit. But when I was a little tiger, yesterday we were throwing the bed frame on at my grandma's house, and I just sit up there and look around. I would sleep in what we call the feather tick all summer long because I wanted to stay with Grandpa and do chores in the morning. I actually put a note on his door one morning, "Wake me up or else."
Was he trying to be nice and would let you sleep in?
Yeah, he didn't wake me up. But I usually woke up when he when he got up. I usually got up and went out and helped him. We'd feed grain, and if he went on vacation, he'd pay me to feed buckets of grain while he was gone, and $20 for the week. And boy, I thought that was just the greatest.
Good money.
We'd go on truck rides every day, at a full stash of candy bars and pop in the fridge, and that was what I looked forward to every day. Don't tell mom and dad is what Grandpa always said, but
yep. My grandpa did that too. My both my parents are farm kids, and my mom's parents were still on the farm, when I was born and growing up. So I would spend summers there, and it was like, and don't tell grandma.
One of my things, as I'm sitting here listening to you explain all these things, but I grew up here in Southwest Wisconsin too, knowing your family forever, and worked on farms when I was a kid, and growing up around that. Of course, my sister is married a farmer and lives on a dairy farm, and so I see all these things. But one of the things that I really like, because I follow you, Farmin with Trev, and so looking at some of the things that you bring to the table, like you said, you wanted to educate, and I love to educate people too, and that's what we do. And that's one of the big reasons we have you here too, is because education, what you do. But one of the big things that I really liked about watching your videos, and that I like watch about them, is you put numbers to it. You actually you'll sit there and do the math and show people, hey, this is what's going on with milk prices. This is what's going on with hay. This is what's going on, and show the true cost, because people think, oh, they're farmers. They're all making all this money, or they're doing this. And then you sit down and you look at those numbers, and people are, well, yeah, but look at those numbers. I mean, he's talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in numbers. But then all of a sudden you throw in what it costs to do all that, and everybody goes, well, wait a minute here, how are you doing this? And for what you do for hours put in,
You don't want to do the math on
Yeah,
that.
you don't want to
hourly
do that
wage,
math.
do you?
Like you said, you're putting in so
Yeah.
many hours that people don't, and I don't think people that don't live on a farm and have never worked on a farm, I don't think they understand that when you're sick or the family's sick, I remember when I was a kid, helping out on some of the farms, and, they'd be sick and they'd be literally throwing up in the gutters because they're sick. Or
The cows don't care.
the cows don't care. They still need to be
still need to be
milked.
taken care of.
Things have to happen on that farm, and you can't take a break. And you usually can't call somebody and say, hey, I need you to come over and, run a tractor today for me, because most of them go, how do you start it? So
And who do you trust? That's
Right.
and chores are finicky too. You do certain things a certain way. But finding help anymore is pretty tough, because not a lot of kids find or work on a dairy farm anymore. And I was reading an article the other day. In 2006, there was 15,000 dairy farms, and in 2026, there's 5,000 in Wisconsin. So over 10,000 farms have gone out in the last 10 years.
wow.
So is that all based on not making enough money, or
Yeah,
the
I
farm
think-
families aren't as big, or what's the main cause?
Yeah, I would say the milk price is probably the main cost, and nobody really wants to do it anymore. Like Art was saying, the hourly pay for farmers is not that great, and I guess the input costs have just rose so much. Like just little bitty things. Like I kind of did the milk price video that you were talking about was a comparison from $15 milk to $25 milk. And it's a difference of making $2.5 million a year to 1.3, I think it was, or something like that. And it's just crazy that in a year's time you could cut basically your salary in half. Like that was what I was trying to show people was, you go from, let's say you're making $100,000 a year and you start spending money that's based on $100,000 a year, and now all of a sudden next year you're only making $50,000. Like it's a big thing to swallow. How do you follow that fluctuation, I guess? And we're smart enough that we, you kind of save while it's high, and a lot of farmers understand that. But the younger generation coming into it, the hours that you're putting into it, you go work a regular job and probably make $150,000 a year if that's the work ethic that you have. But that's not, you're not going to make it farming. If I put my hourly hours to a pencil or to the paper, it's probably $3 to $4 an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and when you talk about like, $1.3 million a year, $2.5 million, like the cost of, combines and tractors and tires for those, and the diesel, like, though that's all, overhead. And if you've got stuff that you've, borrowed money, to make those purchases, and, you may still have you have to still have the payments regardless of what your income does.
Right.
I know one thing, I like too, Art, talked about that often in your videos, you're talking about the math. One thing I enjoy about watching, farming reels is the explanation and talk about like the animal husbandry, and like really how much farmers really truly care about the livestock and their care.
Right. And that's hard for people to understand too, is if you don't take care of the livestock, you're not going to make any money. And that's probably been my biggest thing that people are after me about, is the dairy farmers take the calf away from the cow right away. And we do that for the health and safety of the animal. That is our whole goal. We want to guarantee that calf gets good quality colostrum right away, so that she thrives in the coming years. As long as we take care of her right the first few months, usually the first 24 hours is probably the biggest. She's going to pay that back in the next few years, and that is your main goal. Nobody wants to see the dead stock side of it. That is absolutely not what farmers. You're not making any money. Not to say that it's a making money thing, but it is a business at the end of the day. You're still trying to make it a business, but it's about the livestock first. You want to see them healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And and people don't look at, again, that in the overhead of the vet costs, the different food that you have to give them, the supplements that
the
you have to
science
give
behind
them.
farming
It's
something
gone
else,
crazy.
you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, looking at that, and I saw you the other night. You know, people talk about, they're just an animal to them. They're just
Or like a tool, like a means to an end kind of a thing. Yeah.
And then, you know, you hear that stuff, and then I'm watching your video the other night, and you're trying to make a video, and that cow won't leave you alone, and you're rubbing its head and talking to it, and I'm like, yeah, you know,
they know that they're cared for.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's been my main goal, is to show that farmers do really care. There is some bad farmers out there, and it takes is one bad video and one bad, you know, situation, and now the whole world believes this one farmer, or that's how all farmers are. And I think if you don't have somebody advocating on the good side of the egg, then they don't have anything else to believe, I guess. You know, what else are they supposed to believe? And that's big push anymore is eat plants. You know, that's all you see on when I'm scrolling through. It's like, you know, these poor animals, look at these poor animals, and they find some crazy photo, probably AI made up and not even real life. This calf is dying, and it's like, where did you even find that? Or, you know, they take a photo of a calf and just turn it into something bad, and it's too bad. But, you know, that's my goal, is try and spread the good, I guess. How much good can I spread to help protect farmers a little bit, because your back's up against the wall most of the time. And,
yeah, and I'm not eating your dairy cows, by the way, but you know, just for those people that is all they're eating, is, you know, eating those plants. I am saving your plants by shooting those deer and turkeys. So, you know, I'm helping make your plants healthier.
It's all one big circle.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
So your handle on that for Facebook and everything is Farmin with Trev.
Yep.
Right?
All one word. Yeah.
All one word on that. So that's your the dairy farm's your main, you know, livelihood, and then you've started this social media to share the life on the farm and spread the good, you know, the good side of farming. And then I know that you've also started a custom sign business.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
So we started that back, I think it's going to be 3 years this summer, 2 or 3 years this summer. It doesn't really matter, but we had started with just plain blank boards, and I was actually cutting letters out on a jigsaw, or a bandsaw was what I was cutting letters out on, putting them on signs, gluing them on there, nailing them on there. And I got pretty busy with that, and we invested in a CNC machine. And then it kind of just kept going from there. Me and the wife actually looked at CNC machines for quite a while before we pulled the trigger on one. We're like, are we pretty crazy for doing this? And it's like, absolutely we are. And
but let's do it anyways.
Yeah, we did. We went both of it in together, and we purchased one, and it kind of just kept going from there. Actually, one of the first big jobs was I started everything out of wood, and I learned pretty quick that that's not the greatest material, but you don't know where to start. I was starting blank, and I started watching YouTube videos, believe it or not. I pretty much built the business on YouTube, and there was some guy, one of my the biggest job that we've done so far was for the Dodge Point Country Club. We made all the hole signs out there. So it was 18 different hole signs. And Corey had reached out, one of the owners, and he's like, I want you to do these signs out here. And I'm like, holy man, you're serious?
Are you sure you want me?
Yeah. He's like, I want to give you the opportunity. And I'm
Nice.
like, holy smokes, that is pretty cool to, you know, we're just over the hill from that golf course. And so we went out and looked at them. And we're like, this is a different material that I'm not real familiar with, Corey. I said, do you want to do them out of wood? And he's like, no, I'd really like this normal material. I'm like, and now looking back, I'm glad that he wanted it that way. So I went back home. I said, give me a little while. And I started YouTubing. And I said, what is the best sign material? And Google, and what is the best sign material? And watching videos on what signs or what other companies are using. And it come down to this product called HDU. It's a high density urethane, 92% waterproof before you add a paint or a primer. And there was this one company out in California called Signs by Van that I was watching a lot of videos on. And at the end of the video, it always said, call if you have any questions. And no way is this guy going to answer, you know. So I reached out, being the social guy that I am. I said, can I talk to this guy? And they're like, yeah, here's his cell phone number. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah. And I called him, and Jeremy is his name. And pretty grateful for that. Just that first hour that I talked to him, and I texted back and forth with him still. But how to do certain things, like, is I didn't want to screw up in a big order like that, because who wants to have that many signs come back at you? That'll bury a business in a hurry. So I wanted to be sure that it was done right, and that's been my whole goal with the sign thing, is I want durable, high quality signs. I don't want to build junk. And it took some time to figure that out. There was one that I made that didn't turn out and brought it back. It cost me some money, but that's not the reputation that I want out there. But we did all them signs, and it's kind of just snowballed from there. We've probably got 3 or 4 that we should be doing right now. But people are really understanding. I haven't advertised for that a whole lot, just because with 3 kids, it's a lot right now. But luckily my wife is off during the summer because she teaches at Southwest Tech. So that helps a little bit. So we're trying to push some back to then, but we have not advertised probably in the last 6 months. And there's at least 4 to 5 different people that I'm dealing with. Right now we got a couple that are a go. But it's a lot on my plate during the day too, because you're trying to farm, and then you're doing social media, and then you get a text of, I want to sign. And well, now you start the design process on that. So it's kind of, and my plate is pretty full at the farm too, because my main thing is taking care of calves. Well, calves are like taking care of a bunch of kids.
Toddlers.
Yes. Toddlers. Yeah. One day they're good, and the next day they could be dead. So you have to watch so close. Any little thing you got to be ready to catch. And I've been feeding calves for full time for the last 10 years. And I don't want to say I'm a seasoned veteran, but I have seen a lot of different things. I would say that our death loss is under 2%, and that is pretty good. That's for awesome. Dairy farming. They say in the 90s is good. But I am pretty particular with certain like the sign thing or anything in life. I want to do well at stuff, I guess, and it almost hurts me sometimes because I try to be too good. Or social media, sometimes it's like, just put something out there.
Perfection paralysis. Yeah. I think, like Brad said, that's like the work ethic, know, that you have, and you've, likely learned that, from your family. And then, you want to do the best you can, which has served you well and your businesses. But then, I can get that way occasionally too, with certain projects at work, where you want to do such a good job because everything is like representing you, right. Too. And you're kind of putting your name on it, that then you don't do anything. You're like stuck with like, I don't know the best way to do this, right. Or it's not good enough. And then you end up, not doing it at all, or doing it kind of later, definitely overthink, where just, it might be like, this is really good. And,
and sometimes with social media, you probably figured out too, the raw stuff does the best. It is pretty crazy. I loaded up, I was putting my dog in the tractor one night, and I had my phone out, and like, what the heck, I'll take a video of it. And it just kind of struck a nerve with everybody. And it was like 4 million views across Instagram and Facebook. And it's like, it was 21 seconds long. And it's still growing. It's like got 96,000 likes on it now, I think, or something like that. And people connect with it, I guess, a little bit. And to show that side of myself, like that I care for my dogs, and people have connected that way too. Like, I just love your dog. Sure. And it kind of transfers into the cattle part of it. And I think people see that pretty well, and it helps them connect, say, hey, that maybe this guy isn't so bad.
Yeah. How many calves do you have right now? And does it vary throughout the year, or do you bring them in so you're breeding like throughout the year? Or?
Yeah. So during January, we try not to calve too much just because it's really cold. And right now we're at about, I think we're fed 69 today. But that came up, we've had 25 in the last 10 days. So it kind of spiked pretty fast. But during the summer months, I would say that we're probably right around 80 to 85 calves on milk. We feed them twice a day. So right now our feeding is like 12 and 12. So people are like, I can't believe you feed calves at that time. It's like, well, it's just our chore schedule.
Yeah, I mean, once you've got the cows and calves on a schedule, they don't care as long as you keep the schedule the same.
Yeah.
You know, like if there was a time when your family shifted from a more quote normal or traditional, schedule for milking, if you remember making the shift to the 10 and 10 to free up the evenings more than normal, like, you just slowly adjust a little bit, and let them get used to it, but they don't know.
No, I've gotten quite a few comments that have watched you can do like the day in the life videos where you timestamp everything, and they're like, I can't believe you milk on that schedule. No way I'd be able to do that. And who milks cows at that time? And it's like, people just take a deep breath,
Yeah, right.
But I've been told people a couple times the social media thing is you have to be so caring with some people. You got to care and really give a shit about all of it. But then on the next comment, you could just tell them to go fuck off.
Yeah.
It's a hard, because you go reading through the comments and people will be like, oh, I love what you're doing. I love this. And then the next guy will be like, you're so stupid. And this is stupid. Why would you do it that way?
Yes.
And farmers are sometimes each other's worst enemies because there is so many ways to do a certain thing. With the processor deal, they're like cutting net wrap off of a bale processor type of a thing. And boy, people that struck a...
That did. I remember that video, and I remember you getting on there and actually
it's probably like the
saying
funniest stuff like the weirdest stuff that bothers people.
And I did a comeback video on I cut the net wrap off the processor, and that got a lot of hate because it was cut the net wrap off. And then I made a comeback video at the haters, and that was probably my sign I need to relax a little bit on the comeback. One of the videos that I'm not real proud of. It got a lot of views, but it was coming back at here. This is why I do it this way, and some people were like genuinely curious, like, why do you do it that way? And we come back to the educate thing, and but there was some people that say you're just a lazy piece of shit, and there was actually a lot of those comments like that.
I'm dealing with one of those right now on our social media. We had one of our team members, and usually for me, I'm like, whatever, but for certain team members, certain people, I take a little more offense to it. I get a little more defensive. And
well, I think of the ladies and the kids.
Yeah, and this one happens to be a lady, and she's a very seasoned hunter. She's shot lots of stuff. She's good at what she does. And she just shot a turkey and was sitting on a bucket wrong, and it blew her off the bucket.
I saw that video the other night. Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, the people coming out of the woodwork, you've got some that are great. Others are like, oh, you know what? You need to get her a BB gun, or you need to,
or I went hunt with her.
Yeah, I went hunt with her, or this woman. Blah. They know nothing about that person. What amazes me, and it probably does you too. What amazes me is when we sit here and build all this content, we try to make it so it happens within 20 seconds to 1 minute is what you try to get those. A few clips might go a little longer than that, but they are figuring out that entire person's life and what they did in that 1 minute clip.
Making a lot of judgment based on a very
ton of judgment,
just a fraction of
on what we do. And I'm like, no, we're just trying to do this in 1 minute to, educate you
or entertain.
Those are the two things that you do on there. It's not that I'm trying to tell you that this is the right way, wrong way, anything else. We're doing it to entertain and educate. But no matter what, I have found out doing this long, and you're finding it out now too, that no matter what, you will never keep everybody happy. You could make the perfect video, and they would say that it's staged or fake or something because it's too perfect.
Yep.
They'll find something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. It may be what you find too, like instead of like you having to comment, you can either block them if you have to, but you can ignore it because you're never gonna win a battle on social media. But also you'll get other followers that will come to your defense.
Yeah.
Too, and then you let them take care of it. Yeah.
There has been a few people that have phased out because of that. There was Bucky's Bull Rescue was the one worried about the calves in the calf pens and why do we put them in the pens. And I did a few videos explaining why we do that. And the one guy, this is cruel and inhumane. This guy is terrible type of stuff. And it was probably 15, 20 comments of people telling him to buzz off, like just let them take care of it.
Yeah. And it seems to like work better.
Yeah,
I think it's,
right.
Goes
and another
farther.
thing I'll do sometimes is if they say something kind of stupid, I'll overcome them with positivity. Like not even, I just like to play with people sometimes just to fuck with them. But because it is, I all you can do is laugh at it sometimes because they're just, and a lot of it is robots. You click on their profile and it's locked and they got 3 friends and one of them I'm like, oh, you take your 2 friends and go shut up, but that's, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stir the pot too. They're trying to get you to quit. They found somebody that's spreading the truth and now all of a sudden they're like, how can I get this guy? How can I get under his skin? And when I first started, that was, like, God, I don't even want to do these videos anymore because they're coming after me, the activists, they call them. And it's, and then I watch a few other influencers and they're like, no, keep going. Like when they're after you, it's a good thing. And they didn't find me right away. It probably took a few months. And then all of a sudden, some of the views started getting up there on some of the stuff and the more education, I guess, you put out there. And then here they come out of the woodworks.
Yeah, it's funny because this weekend I went up to the fishing show. I haven't been there in forever, and I stopped and talked to one of my bosses while I was up there. And she says, as we're talking, she's talking about all the social media stuff, and she says, she said there's a lot of people that unfortunately lose their way once they become an influencer. And she says, what I call influencers are people that now really don't post anything because they're so big that they don't. She says, I would rather see educators. Mm-hmm. She said, educators are still that, 100,000 to 500,000 people out there, in the same boat that you and I are in right now. And we're educating. And I don't ever want to lose that.
Right.
I don't want to be that influencer. I want to be that educator. That's, always been my goal. I actually had somebody today talking about, how they wanted to be famous and stuff. And I'm like, no, you don't ever want to be famous. There's a lot of headaches that come with fame and fortune and everything else. And so don't be, that way. Just go out and be yourself and try to educate people, so.
Authentic is kind of a way I want myself to come off. And that's what I actually met with Farmhand Mike down at one of the shows. And he's like, don't ever not be yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I prided myself on too. It's not like, well, I get 500,000 followers, I'm a big wheel. Like, no, I'm still farming. Like that's just, this is what I love to do. And, that was kind of my main goal out of everything is, can I, make a living at what I love to do? Can I, spread the education, but also help my family on the flip side of it a little bit too. And it took some time to build it, obviously, like any, the social media, it takes time. But you just keep pushing along. 2 to 3 videos a day is what I try to shoot for. Some days it doesn't happen, but I for sure do the daily vlog, just say, hey, this is what we're up to. And it's gotten to a point as, 500 to 600 likes a day. And I just can't believe that many people care about it, I guess, You're
probably just waiting for the next day, waiting for the daily one. Yeah.
I just can't believe that's, but it's just normal. But, and then I catch myself watching some people have kind of modeled off of what I do, they're doing the vlogs, and I catch myself, watching their vlogs and like, hey, that's kind of what I do. Well, what are they up to today? And everybody's curious, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's working. So don't change what's working, I guess. So that's what we'll keep doing.
I think the authenticity is key. And I can see where, to the raw videos, we too, I think in in the podcast as well as the videos, I'd rather have, authentic, keeping it real kind of stuff, not over editing,
Right.
To keep it, real and true.
I have to over edit. I've got a face for podcast. So I've definitely got a face for radio, so I have to over
We try to
edit as much as I
edit
can.
you out
Edit
of
me-
the
I try to edit
videos.
me out as much stuff as I possibly can. But, and I think, back to you though, and what's also helping you, I think, is you're young, you're well spoken, but you're also your work ethic, you have that, and you don't see that a lot anymore. And so I think that those things bring a lot to the table for you, and why a lot of people are like, hey man, let's watch this, young man, because, he's got it going on.
Yeah.
He's doing things right. He's providing for his family, but he works his butt off, and so kudos to you on that, and trying to find time to do anything has got to be a little rough.
Yeah, the time management is what I struggle with sometimes, especially. I try to make time for your family because, you come, especially Sundays, we try to shut down chores and just spend time with the girls right now, well, and boy. But he can't play real a lot right now. But the girls are always, especially during the summertime, when I'm in the shop making signs, they're like, Dad, come swing with us. Dad, come push us on the swing. And it's just one of them things is I'll work from 2 to 8 in the morning if I just go push them on the swing. Like that's, I can work while they sleep, I guess, kind of a thing. And my wife too, she's like, go push them on the swing. Like, this stuff can wait, that's, and it's kind of opened my eyes too. Like, just putting my grandma in the nursing home, and my dad's getting a little older, and I just turned 30 on the 1st. And I guess you don't really feel that through your 20s, you're just, it's another year. And then all of a sudden now it's like, wow, 30. It's like 30 years.
I'm an adult now.
Yeah,
Like, wow. 30 hit different. Like,
yeah,
30 was harder for me than 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next one's going to be hardest for me. My next big one.
Yeah.
But
25.
You're old.
Yeah, 25. Yeah. that's still a little ways down the road, but so, but something you talked about, all this farm and everything else, but I've been watching some of these, and I've seen a couple videos here lately where you're walking around the house and you got a few pretty good bucks sitting in that house and some turkeys and, out shed hunting and doing that. And I don't think it was you. I think it was one of your relatives, though, killed a stud
my
this
cousin
last
Blake.
year.
Yeah.
And, so you do get some time to hunt. So, kind of, what do you like to hunt, and
what's
how
your
do you
favorite?
find time?
Probably my favorite. I really like turkey hunting. I know it's just kind of a action-packed action. I guess you're always feels like you're in the game, especially if they're talking. If they're not talking, then they just go home most of the time. But they're gobbling on the roost, and you always feel like something is gonna happen. But don't turn big bucks away. That's fun too. It's just a different vibe, I guess. And springtime, I want to say that we have a little bit more time on our hands. It comes into the fall, and we're chopping corn, combining corn, and it's just not a big time thing. I guess we can just go sit all day, or because we milk at 10 and 10, you go to bed at, usually right now I'm going to bed at about 4:30. Well, that's usually when you're probably getting up to go to the deer stand. And it's a little bit of a hard day to run on an hour of sleep. So, you can go any morning that you want, but picking the right morning is probably, you try and watch cameras, but a lot of times I think they're almost worse than if just make a good spot and just go sit, because in the rut, anything could happen. Obviously you guys know that, but, yeah.
You do a lot of bow hunting then, or try to do what you can for bow hunting?
Yeah,
or more
actually,
of
I
the
do.
rifle?
I got a crossbow is kind of my main thing, and I know there's a lot of hate for that. And I just don't really care, but I don't take the time to practice. Sure. I guess with everything else I got going on, and my daughter can shoot the crossbow. I get more entertainment out of taking her anymore than taking myself. She shot a doe this year with the crossbow, and then she also shot a buck with the rifle. So I'm getting more of a kick out of that. She's 6 and has 2 bucks under her belt already. So that's my, I've gotten more in, I got a brother-in-law, Joey Dolphin, that helps me too quite a bit. And he's been a great help, but and I wish I had that kind of help when I first started. Dad wasn't really into the hunting a lot. Like I kind of started that on my own, I guess. Dad hunted, but he didn't turkey hunt at all. Just more rifle deer hunt. That was kind of, that got me hooked into it. And then I started researching the bows, and it just kind of spiraled from there, I guess. But having the right gear for a 6-year-old is probably the most important. The setups that they're shooting and using are not cheap. Thousands of dollars invested in firearms and suppressors that allow them to be able to shoot. And so it's but the setup part of that is with the crossbow, and you got to have a bipod or tripod in the blind. And all that setup it takes time, and not a lot of people understand like the filming part of it. It takes time, and people don't really get that at times, but yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. That's awesome that she's already had some success.
Yeah.
Get her hooked, right?
She loves doing it. I guess she did get a turkey last year. There was not many feathers left on that one. But it was kind of a fluke thing. It worked out really well. There was 4 toms that come in about 15 yards. Well, when we put the decoys up, we thought we were 20 to 25, and they ended up being about 15. Well, you know what a choke does at that. And we got one of them 410s. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a single shot 410, just a red dot on it. And gosh, I can't.
Probably that new Stevens.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, Stevens 410. Yeah, I bought one of them last year so she could go, and you shoot that ammo that's like $10 a shot.
It's a lot more than that right now, buddy.
Is it really?
Yeah, TSS just went through the roof. I think it's following the diesel prices.
Really? Oh my. But yeah, that's it allowed her to shoot to hunt anyway. But 4 toms come in, and she missed right away, and we're like, oh man, all that setup. You had a blind and tripod and everything, and me and my brother-in-law was with us, and we were just both kind of shaking our head like, oh shoot, and he hit the call again, and there was about the 2 of them ran off, but the other 2 run about 20 yards behind the blind and opened back up again. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Nice.
Then they come back in, and she rolled that one. I don't know if you hit it a little bit low or what, but I told Joey, I said, get that sumbitch, because we usually, jump on them or put your foot on their head so they don't scamper off or whatever. And he jumped out, barreled out the front of the blind, head first, and he went running up to it. Well, here this thing starts flopping down in the weeds, and he's throwing flying elbows at it, and he's got it by I look over, and he's got it by the neck, and it's trying to spur him, and he's whipping it against the ground, and oh, it was hilarious. I wish I would have had it on video.
That was what I was going to ask. Did you get it on film?
No, I didn't at that time. By the time I said, oh, man, Hadley, I better get out there and help him a little bit. This turkey's kicking his butt.
Feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he needs some backup.
Yeah. Joey's a bigger guy than me. I'd take him in any fight. So it was just one of them things that was hard. He was trying to keep it all contained, and it was just flopping all over the place. And he picks it up by the neck, and I died laughing when he picked it up. He's like, well, not many feathers left on this one. It was pretty much a bare bird. It was there was like somebody, like a coyote got a hold of it pretty much.
Yeah.
There was probably
feathers
half,
everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like a bomb went off. Like half the tail feathers were in it. And I said, I think we're going to have to mount your second one if we can get that one without too much fun. But the memory, though, of it, holy smokes.
I bet she was still happy.
Yeah, oh, yeah. To take some pictures, we grabbed a bunch of the feathers and threw it on the breast so it wasn't so naked. They're pretty white, but
That's funny.
Oh, it was good fun. Yeah,
you got her out there.
Yeah, right. And she
part.
wants to go. That's the big thing. And you got to make time for that kind of stuff. I guess that's I just totally shut down everything else, and like youth season comes around, and that's what I want to do. If she wants to do something, and I can help, or my brother-in-law can help, like that's what we're gonna do. You only get one chance to make them memories, I guess. So
right.
Yeah, and that's it, man. It's all about, memories and trying to create those. And You know, I'm still having a little bit of a hard time around here because Michelle wants me to start doing something with all the mounts in the house and make them disappear so we can downsize. And, you know, it's pictures. It's still got pictures. It's still got memories. But, you know, to me, when I look at a deer or I look at a turkey mount or the alligator mounts or, you know, bear mount, whatever we've got in the house, there's a certain memory. And, you know, so that picture to me, I just doesn't do it yet, you know, but it's just the coolest things. I mean, for you, unfortunately, you don't have that mount, but hopefully you kept the 3 tail feathers.
I did try and mount it, but it didn't. I tried to glue it back together and put a little bit of a mount together, but it didn't turn out. It's on the wall, but she was happy with it.
Yeah.
It's missing a few, but she's gonna have it forever. You know, tried to save what we could. There was a little bit of the beard left in the spurs anyway. So.
That's awesome. You'll have to send me a picture.
Yeah,
You'll have to send us a picture.
Yeah,
So we
I
can
probably
see
still
that.
got some of it in my phone of it back in.
That's funny.
It was hilarious. That I was texting that to some buddies, and boy, they were just dying laughing
That's
with the text back.
fantastic.
That's what it's about. Again,
Yeah.
you know, the memories and it's with everything you're doing though. You know, you look at even the Farmin with Trev, you're educating people, but you're also now, and that's one thing with social media today. If you're doing it and you've got the followers, the thing is we're consistently taping stuff. We're consistently documenting things. So, you know, sometimes I look back at high school and I'm like, I am so happy we did not have cameras and we did not have documentation of anything we did, right?
No cell phones.
You know, like last night I ran into a guy at a wake and we're like, man, we haven't seen each other since not long after high school, right? You know, and he's a Linden guy. So we're talking and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, the last time we probably saw each other, we were running from the cops or something. I'm like, great, you know, and he's probably right.
On snowmobiles.
Yeah. And he is probably 100% correct. But, you know, that on one hand, I wish we would have had that documentation though. I mean, we've got the memories, but with this, now it's for generation after generation if it doesn't get destroyed or lost somewhere. So now not only, you know, your kids, but grandkids down the line, they can say, yeah, this is Grandpa Trev. This is what he did, you know. But this is how he used to, not only as the social media aspect of it, but this is how he did things on the farm. Mm-hmm. You know, could you imagine doing that? Now we got robots that do all this stuff, right?
Right.
But you know, so you didn't have that. You might have had an old picture. You might have had, now you've got videos. You have all that documentation. So on one hand, it is, you know, it's cool to have that for the next generation down the road.
Right.
With everything that's going on. Again, some of it, not so good because you truly never delete it. It's never gone. We might try to delete it off our stuff, but there's people out there that are tech gurus way more than what me that could find stuff that you're like, really? I thought I deleted that 20 years ago, you know, so.
And I can't believe how far technology has come. So just since I was a little kid, I had a Nokia phone with a pull-up antenna. It's probably come a lot farther with you guys than it has me. But
we didn't have phones, buddy.
You could only.
We had one that was on the wall.
Right? Yeah.
With a party line that you could pick up and you'd have to check to make sure that, you know, somebody else wasn't on there so you could make your call.
I remember we had a phone line down in the barn, actually. So you put it on the charger after milking, and then you throw it on the milk cart. While you're milking, it was in a PVC pipe. You just set it in there, and that was the phone number to get a hold of Dad. You know, you didn't have the cell phone and the easy reach, and that's the big thing with social media is it's in your pocket all the time. Like everything that I've built, other than the YouTube stuff, has been off of my phone. Like that's a few drone shots, obviously, but. It's everything has come through the phone. It's amazing what that thing can do, but at the same point, it can be a bad thing too. You know, it takes a lot of your You're like, I got 5 minutes. I'll pull out my phone and get scrolling on Facebook. And here 20 minutes later, you're like, I could have been doing something that actually amounted to something. And that was, part of my thing too. You're doing chores and you got a slow time and you're like, I just wasted a half hour watching videos. Like I could be making a video and maybe it could make a difference in my life someday rather than me helping somebody else. Or so that's kind of where it stemmed from. Use my time wisely, I guess, so to say. That's where it all built from. But
yeah, and like you said, I mean, that's cool as technology has, because I remember, and I know you wouldn't have had this because you're 30. And, but back, so this was before you were even born, buddy.
Say 30 feels old to me right now. I'm 2 days in.
When I was back in the 90s, 80s.
Back in the 70s and 80s, back in the 80s, actually, when I was helping on farms, a couple of the farms that I helped on, they didn't have pipelines yet. I mean, it was step savers, and I remember we'd go and at the beginning of the year, you would have...
It'd make it to the end of the barn.
Yeah, it'd make it to the end of the barn, and then you'd have to keep cutting off the hoses. The hose rotted, so you might as well, by the end of the year, you're just dumping it in the bulk tank anyway. It didn't do you any good. And, before then, it was probably buckets, and it was, so some of that technology has been great, though, as far as, helping the farmers become more efficient.
Right.
Unfortunately, with that efficiency also comes a cost,
right.
And the pipeline, the cost of that, the bulk tanks, like you guys were saying earlier tonight, you look at a tractor, or a combine, or any of that anymore, and you really truly have to sit back and say, how does the farmer make it? How do they survive? Because you go out and buy a $500,000 combine, it's like, that's insane.
Right.
It's like buying a house.
Yeah. That's why we bought a lot of used equipment too. So we moved out of we had a pipeline in the old barn, and I know that they had the step saver stuff when I was not when I was around. But everything, when I was there, they had the pipeline and the bulk tank, that kind of stuff. But we moved out of that barn in 2018 and went to the parlor. And with the parlor and the freestall together, I think it was about $1 million for them 2 buildings total. So then when COVID hit, we priced another freestall barn the same size, and it was double the money. So just to kind of show you, and nothing has come down since then, really.
Nothing ever comes down.
So we were really, really grateful that we built that stuff before, because now, like, oh my gosh, everything has doubled pretty much. And with the tractor side of things, like, people's like, oh my gosh, you're buying all this new equipment. It's like, well, at the same point, you got to have stuff that works, because we do all the chores and then we do all the field work ourselves. Stuff has to work. But we do have some older equipment. We have 6 Magnum tractors, which are built in the 90s. They're just good, solid 7120, 7220, 7140, 7110. That kind of stuff. We've had them for, oh gosh, I think back when I was 10 or 12, we got the first one, and we've had 6 of them. We just kind of started updating to newer stuff now, not brand new. You find low-houred stuff that is in pretty good shape. We've actually bought a couple Deutz tractors that people are like, you're crazy, but we just invested in a triple mower that cuts hay it's a 28-foot cut. And I don't have any video. We don't have it yet, but we were cutting with 2 pull-type disc spines. And now you go to 1 machine versus 2 and 1 tractor versus 2. But that tractor come available in town here at Hennessy's. And a guy paid $235,000 for that tractor in the spring, put 240 hours on it, and we got it for $150,000. So it's like... It was a deal that, it may look newer, but it was still an educational purchase, I guess I would say. Like, it made sense because it had an option. Basically, it's a front PTO option, so we can run a front mower on it, because there's one on each side and then a front one that makes it a triple mower. But that was it made sense to buy it. Like, I can't find that for
hard
us.
to pass up.
Right. And Dad's like, we don't need a tractor, but At that point, it's like, why not? I guess
you don't need it
it's an
till the other
investment.
one
Well,
breaks down.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead.
Right.
Well, yeah.
We got 16 tractors if I counted right on the farm. And somebody said, well, can't you get rid of some of them? And I'm like, you could, but there is times where everything is tied up. Like, you get a couple that break down and you got to have something that's going to work behind it because you got to get stuff accomplished. Some work with certain things that other things don't, and you got to have backups to go with it. So
It's crazy.
I'd hate to guess how much money. Somebody asked how much money we had in equipment, and oh my goodness, I would have to say it's over $2 million in equipment. It's probably north of that a little ways, but we don't. It's not all brand new. Just that triple mower, you're gonna have $250,000 in it by the time tractor and the mower is $250,000, and that's
why
a cheap
you work so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people. And that all that machine does is cut hay, like and then you got to have a merger to merge the hay, and then you got to have a $200,000 chopper on that. So like a merger we paid $30,000. That's used. Like usually mergers new are probably $120. And the tractor on the front of it's another $120. So you're $250,000 in that just to cut it to merge it. You're $500,000, and now you got to chop it. The chopper that we have is a used chopper, and that was $200. So it's then you got to have 3 tractors and 3 wagons, possibly 4 tractors and 4 wagons to keep up to it. If you wanted them wagons new, they're $68,000 a piece, and you can put on whatever tractor that you want to put on it. And now you got to get the feed into do you put it in bunkers, or we have a bagger. Now that bagger is about $100,000, and then you got to have a tractor on the front of that, which the one we have is about $100,000. So I don't know what that all added up to.
That's just put the hay.
Yeah, just put hay in for the cows. Yeah, and all of a sudden you take that milk check at $1.3 million a year. That's just to make hay. You got corn. You got to make your corn. You got a corn planter and sprayers, and I could keep going, but
they're all specialized pieces of equipment.
Right,
other than a lot of the tractors can pull different things, but
they can do
everything's quite
stuff.
Specialized.
Yeah, it is, and that's what's cool about listening and watching you, is because you do explain that stuff and you put numbers to it, and I think it's very educational and it's very eye-opening to people to that watch that and that don't. They should be going to your page and watching this, because it's pretty cool to see that whole process and see what it really takes to put that food on people's tables.
Right. And that's another influencer kind of reached out to me. He's like, I can't believe you put the numbers on the stuff. I'm like, why not? Why can't people know?
It's real.
It's like it's it is kind of personal information, but what is it going to hurt that they know what I spent on a tractor, or what is it? But and they hear them numbers and they're like, holy smokes, and that's just one piece of equipment. Like there was a couple of just parts that we needed the other day, and I had people start guessing, how much do you think these 2 parts are? And it was kind of all over the board, and all it was a wheel for the crowd gate, and what was the other thing? Oh, an airbag. And it was over $1,000 for them 2 little bitty parts. And there was a guy asking when I did that milk race video. He's like, "What do you do with the rest of the money?" And I'm like, "Do I don't how far in depth do you want to get?" But there was one thing that I showed on that 1.3 mil was just our investment into the cows, which is the cow protein, the vitamins and minerals. It was $365,000 just to feed them through the year. So you're $1,000 a day already just in that. And I was actually talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, "You're making $37.50 a day. How is that not? That's good money." I said, "Well, labor. Not that we're making a lot, but you got to pay us something, and then you take $1,000 off just to feed the cows." Now, I never even penciled the calves into that, the calf protein or the dry cows or the heifer protein. You probably, $400 to $500 a day on that kind of thing. And the baby calves, I know, is just the milker plates there alone is about $150 a day. And that's not counting the starter.
Fuel prices.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, like the inputs they've all in the service. The services of like different techs and stuff. Like it's a $150 trip charge anymore. It's not not a 75. And I get that their point is too, because their service trucks have doubled. It's not their fault. Like I totally get that from their standpoint, and it's like the parts on that, all that stuff has gone up that they were buying. So they just transferred on down the line. Whereas we can't set the milk price on the going out. I guess there was one video that I had made the other day that somebody did like the inflation from 1980. The price was like $14.50 per 100 pounds. So if you took that into today's dollars with everything else, the inflation milk price should be around $42 a 100. So it's just like I can't even, we're close to that. But there was a time we were close to like 27, which was like a year and a half ago, which was no good. But can we just stay in the middle? I guess can you get around that $20 and everybody's happy kind of a thing? And I know that Canada kind of does it like a supply manager, like a quota system, but you have to buy the quota too, just to have the milk, I guess, available. So I had asked the guy about that too, and he's like, as a young farmer getting in, you basically can't unless you're working for a farm and kind of get your way in that way, because you can't buy that quota from the quota doesn't come available very easily, I guess. So you can buy some cows, but you might not have a market for your milk.
It's a competitive
right.
Quotas.
Right. And he said in the they can't really grow because they have a quota that they have to meet, and if they go over that, then they get penalized for it. So their milk price is strong, but if you come into a family farm like we are, and you could sustain at a $20-some milk all the time, and you make pretty good living at it that way. But as far as the new guys getting in, it's about impossible. It's about impossible here. Just what you guys know what land prices are, and what a farm would even cost to buy it to get started right now is just a cow right now is worth about $3,000. Like how does that even make sense to go buy 100 cows and a $1.5 million farm, or if that even is enough? Probably not even close, but. Yeah, you're probably pushing yourself $3-4 million in debt to start up a place. If somebody would even give you that amount of money, I don't even know if that would happen. But
yeah, that's insane.
And to work 7 days a week, then too, right?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
You gotta really love what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 70.
Hopefully people listening to this will think next time they go to the store and grab a gallon of milk, what actually went into that gallon, right?
Yeah. That's my main goal with the whole thing. That's show what it really takes to produce it, and nobody really realizes it. And rightfully so, because how do they know? Nobody knows unless you put it out there. Otherwise you just go about your daily chores and could complain about it. But what good does that do for anybody? Put it out there that you're busy, and people are like, oh, wow, this really takes this much to produce milk. We're always up to something. It seems like every day. Somebody had asked, how many YouTube videos do you do? I said, I could do one every day if you wanted me to. And but who's going to edit all that? I don't know if Art's got openings, but.
No, Brad, you got any openings up there, buddy?
No. I don't.
Trev, what does your dad and uncles think about what you're doing with the social media?
Yeah, Dad's just kind of been run with it, Okay. Never said no to anything. He has been in a few, appeared in a couple, and one of them was the inside of the chopper, which people have really loved with him in it, and I probably should do more of him in stuff. Just people have that, listen to the veteran, I guess, who's done it a few times. But I got in the cab with him when we were chopping corn. People wanted to see the inside of the cab, so I got up in there and I said, "All right, Dad, you're holding the phone up there," and I said, "All right, Dad, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm chopping corn." Like, what are you doing with all these buttons that you're hitting over here? I said, that button's turning the knives on underneath the chopper, and that button there is folding the head out, and that button is turning the head on. Trying to teach that kind of thing. And now as you're going, what is this machine doing? How spaced out is the corn? And you know, he was kind of
Chopping corn.
yeah. There was somebody over at the bowling alley the other night that's like, oh, they're just dying laughing at that. It is a different feel. You know, you guys do the video too. It takes time to get good at it or decent at it. And, you know, you could still have screw ups. Like every day is a screw, you know, you got to edit something out. But it's definitely a different feel on, I catch myself too, is I really have to break it down. You know, like I look over so much stuff because I've done it for so long that it's simple to me. But some things are not simple to other people, I guess you could say. Yeah. So I really got to catch myself, breaking it down for them. Like one question I really get a lot is, why do the cattle not go out to pasture? And this time of year, I'm getting, you know, people see them in the barns and they're like, oh my God, when do they go to pasture? It's like, well, our grass is not good until about the 10th of May. 10th of May to November is about the time they go to pasture. Something unique about our farm is they will have the option to go to pasture. So we're on a Cows First program where we get $1 premium for our milk to send them to pasture every day. And we think it's good just to get them out on the dirt, get them, you know, they can go out there, run around, eat some grass. The grass probably lasts, you know, a few weeks, and then they still get their normal feed. But just to get out and, you know, the fresh air and then the dirt and the grass and lay down, like, we think it's a pretty big deal. And when cows are in heat and jumping around, it's better to have them off the concrete than have them on. And they sort themselves out that way too. They really like to go. We do have one small lot right now. It's not a very big lot, but it's just kind of a gravel lot, and they will go find that lot to jump around, believe it or not, just because they don't want to jump around on the concrete. So it's a big deal that way.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to make sure that people learn about or hear from you today?
I think I covered about everything.
Yeah, covered a lot. That's fair.
All right. Yeah, that's. I think we're totally good.
All right.
Unless you guys have any other questions, what have I missed? You know, what more do you want to know? I guess that's.
I think we just gotta keep watching your videos to learn.
And then just have you come back at a certain point and do this again.
No, this is fun.
Do you have anything, Brad?
No, I'm good.
All right. Tell everybody again where they can find you and so all your social handles.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube, all at Farmin with Trev. It's all one word. F is capitalized and T is capitalized. So that's the 4 accounts that I am at right now.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for being on with us. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, and check out Farmin with Trev. Very educational and inspiring and entertaining. And learn more about the seasons of farming. Own the season, everybody.
Follow Own the Season Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
Check back weekly for new episodes.